Okay, well, hey, it's great to be here with you, Rhonda. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for making time for.
Oh, thank you, Etan. It's my pleasure to be here. Truly is for Watkins, and I'm really great actually. Thank you. Really, really wonderful. Really looking forward to talking to you actually.
Ditto. In fact, I had lunch recently with Ian McNay, who interviewed you last year for Conscious
Oh,
TV, and
really?
we're and he was just saying what a treat it is to interview you.
Oh, he was so sweet. He was really, really nice. And Conscious TV, I had watched for years actually, years, and when I had a second kind of huge awakening, there are lots of aha moments between the sacred and now, but I had a second huge awakening. Conscious TV played a big part in that, so yeah, so I really special.
That was David Bingham, right? That you saw on
It
Conscious TV.
was, yeah, who I love and adore. Yeah,
Awesome.
he helped me incredibly just to open my eyes and see. That's the really interesting thing about the spiritual journey. Everything is right there in front of you, so obvious, crystal clear, and we don't see it. Like, yeah, I remember with the ancients, they would say, like, going back to ancient Egypt and all of the mystery schools and that, they would say this is for those who have the eyes to see. And I get it now. I get it. So yeah, he helped me see
That's
something
beautiful.
something important. Yeah.
That is beautiful. So, I mean, in terms of what he helped you see, is that was that the idea of awareness,
Yes.
and that's part of your book, I believe, the greatest
Yeah.
secret.
So he helped me see who we are, and to see awareness. And awareness is just a word, but and we are much more than a word, but we have to use words to try and communicate. And so awareness or consciousness are the two words that are mostly used. And he helped me see that we are not just this body, but we are awareness consciousness that just has no end. Is infinite, eternal, and it's the most amazing moment, to be able to see that, like the joy and the love and everything. That's It's like a volcano. It just like, wow, bursts through you, and the fear that you've maybe had for a long time dissipates. So you know that everything is just fine. So, yes, he helped me with that. And then that just stopped my spiritual search. Boom, just like that.
I love
So,
it. So there's two two major points here. One is that spirituality is something where, on the one hand, it's an ongoing journey, um,
mm,
and even after you discovered the secret, there's still more to learn. Then when now you say, once you've discovered the greatest secret, so is that the end of the journey, or does the journey keep going then?
it keeps going because so you stop searching, but you're becoming more of who you are. So, and one of the things that I did, and I laid out my entire journey in The Greatest Secret, and which the idea behind it is to be free of suffering, any suffering. And our suffering comes from, negative emotions and beliefs. And so, one of the things that I've done since 216, which is when I had that awakening through David, is to dissolve all the negative emotions, and I've explained that in The Greatest Secret how to do that. And if there was just like, if somebody asked me what is the best spiritual practice that anybody could do, it would be that. It would be to dissolve negative emotions, because when we dissolve them, we actually become who we are. So, and we become free, like so free, free of free of things getting on our nerves, people bothering us, things, feeling that things aren't going our way. We're free of all of those things. So, and in The Greatest Secret, it's called the welcoming practice, and basically it's just a practice so that you release all the negative emotions, and when you, which are stored in the subconscious mind. So when you release them fully, for example, disappointment is one. So when you fully released it, you will not ever feel disappointment again. When you release uh, any of the any negative emotion, when you fully release, you'll never ever feel it again. And so that's why it's so freeing. It's just incredible.
I
Yeah,
love that. I mean, you've got a quote in The Greatest Secret. You say, "You need nothing to be happy. You need something to be sad." And you're
that's right.
quoting Sri Punja, also known as
Yes.
Papaji, there. And I think, I mean, that's part of the idea, right? Because if you, our natural state is to go back to awareness and to feel joy, but we often tend to become fixated on things, and we have sometimes, when we start to worry, you mentioned this idea of resistance, right? When you try to resist something, it's more likely to happen, right?
It is. I mean, in The Secret, we have, Carl Jung saying, what you resist persists. And that's like profound. You really have to think about that and contemplate that, which I did for quite a long time. And what you resist persists is what really helped me in releasing negative emotions, because if they're, other than, they're going to affect our health as well, because they're suppressed and they're affecting energy flow and everything like that. But they stifle our natural happiness. I mean, our natural state of being is ecstatic happiness and peace with zero fear and zero negativity. So then we can ask ourselves, wow, how far away from that am I? Am I, And so yeah, it's a journey, but it's awesome.
Well, let's talk about that for a sec. I mean, you are a great spiritual teacher, and you've learned from some of the greatest spiritual teachers. And yet, as you say, there's always something to learn. There's a journey. I think you mentioned in one of your books that you don't think you'll ever be severely depressed again. But surely, even you can have some bad days and find, or not. I don't know. How does it work for you, basically?
I don't know that I have bad days. I might have a moment, uh, like I did this morning when my dog peed on the carpet, and I had a moment with that. But you know what's really interesting is that the emotion arises, but there's sort of nothing for it to stick to. So
Mm.
it goes very quickly. And my teacher told me that an emotion from beginning to end, full blown, is 45 seconds. So
Wow,
anger, the life of anger is from the moment it begins to its natural end is 45 seconds. So for many of us now, we would be thinking about negative emotions and experiencing them for hours, a day, even days, overnight, all of that. So how can that be? It's because we are resisting it,
I
which
love that.
holds it to us. So
Wow,
yeah,
45 seconds. It makes sense. Uh,
right? Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah.
does. But it's interesting. You mentioned in one of your books, actually, because this example of your dog peeing on your carpet, you, you mentioned, which is quite an image. Uh, I think it might have been in the magic. I'm not sure, but you mentioned something about how everything is an opportunity for gratitude, and when that happens, you can basically think, well, on the one hand, oh, I'm so grateful that this doesn't happen all the time. This is just reminds me how wonderful it is that usually my dog doesn't pee on my carpet. Usually my carpet is clean, and I'm so grateful for my dog, and
Exactly.
so on, right?
I mean, grateful for your dog because I just, she's 13 and I had a 16 and a half year old. Actually, she was 17 yesterday and she passed a couple
I'm
of months
sorry.
ago. And so, as a dog gets older, yeah, for sure, you just have to be super grateful. And, yeah, so that's absolutely right. Gratitude is a lifesaver. That's I don't know, what is it when you throw something in the water and somebody gets it? Uh, a life buoy or something like that. That's what it is. It'll pull us out of anything really, really fast. So,
Yes, you said
yeah.
that I think in one of the books that 24 hours is all it takes for gratitude to, effectively change things completely around if you really embrace it completely.
Totally. And you know what? Even if you woke up and you did, you know, you went through the things that you're grateful for, count your blessings in the morning before you go out into the day. If you did that, your day will not resemble anything like what it was going to before. And I used to do that when I first discovered the secret. Every day I would, before my feet hit the ground, I would lay in bed and I would go through all the things I'm grateful for until I had tears in my eyes, because the tears in my eyes told me that my heart had completely melted. I was out of my head and I was into my heart. And so I did that all through making the documentary, writing the secret book, and everything. So, I mean, that's just a really easy way to start to transform your life, especially if things are not going, if few things start going wrong, a problem arises, gratitude, grab gratitude.
Absolutely, and I have to say, in the magic. Let me hold this here in front of the screen for those who can see, because this also might be an audio version. But in the magic, which I believe is coming out as an audiobook, you really emphasize gratitude, and you talk about how from ancient rituals to religions to all these different practices, and one of the suggestions that you give is that when somebody wakes up in the morning, that they say thank you. When they place the first foot, they say thank, and then the second foot, you. And by doing that, that's some sort of magic footstep. And you also give the idea of actually trying to say thank you as you take steps. Maybe take like 100 steps of thank yous or something like
Yes,
that.
yes, that's right. Because Einstein, the 100 steps, Einstein said thank you 100 times a day, and he was thanking all of the greats that had preceded him and enabled him to do the work that he was doing. So that's 100 times a day. So I created the 100 steps of gratitude, and that's another thing. I mean, if something's really kind of funky or if you feel down, you just take 100 steps of gratitude, which takes about it's about 500 feet, although you might be metric. It takes about a minute. It takes about a minute, 55 seconds, 2 minutes to do 100 steps. And so you want to say thank you, but not count, because then you're not really feeling it. So it's about 2 minutes. So, when you're going to get your lunch or on your way to work or going around the supermarket or, picking up kids from school or anything, going to college, going to school, it's just brilliant. And there, at the end of those 100 steps, you will not feel the same way as you did before you did them. You will feel so much better, because that's the thing about gratitude. It makes you feel happy. It brings you into the present, which takes you away from your mind going from the past to the future and beating us up about things. It's a wonderful, wonderful, powerful tool, the mind, but don't let it be your psychotherapist.
I love that. So, okay, so first, just to confirm, you're saying you shouldn't count the steps, focus on the thank you, just kind of time it, basically, go with a certain
Do it with your,
distance.
yeah, do it with your phone, or if you have a
Sure.
watch the times. And yes, and so actually, we're just writing something for another project for an app. And what I did with that one to accelerate the gratitude was have say thank you with every set of footsteps, so left and right. Because if you're doing 100 footsteps, it's hard to do it each
Yep.
footstep. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so
Sure.
yeah. So the 2 minutes is thank you for each set of footsteps. But I mean that's just phenomenal for anybody to do. Just try it. Just try it. Don't take my word for it. Just try it for yourself and see what happens.
Okay. I'm doing that later today, first of all.
Okay, great.
Um, but also, I want to share. I mean, this is very interesting. This idea you mentioned about worrying and how gratitude can help us be in the moment, and I do think it's very interesting how the mind and body, uh, they basically are highly influenced by stress. So if you're
Yeah.
stressed, all of a sudden your field of vision narrows. All of a sudden you're not open to the opportunities around you. But when you are grateful, all of a
Mhm.
sudden there's more peace and you can see
Mhm.
more around you. You see the
Mhm.
opportunities coming.
Mhm.
And that goes back, I guess, to also attracting opportunities, right?
Yes, because like gratitude, joy, love, all of those emotions, there's incredible expansion. So most definitely the world is bigger, and there are way more opportunities than if you're feeling disappointed, if you're kind of criticizing or any of those sort of negative emotions, anger, any of those, your world definitely shrinks. And so there's just there's just no point to those emotions other than they make you feel really awful, you
Mm.
know, and which is why when they come upon us that we tend to suppress them or repress them, which just keeps them inside of us, you know. So rather than just letting them go, and letting them go is the way for sure. So yeah, you have a world that is far greater, far bigger, far more joyful. Like if you're feeling love or joy or gratitude, then everything that you come into contact with, every circumstance, event, every person is going to elicit that same response in you of gratitude, of love, and joy. So, hey, it's the perfect place to be. And if you are not feeling so great, don't beat up on yourself. Don't, it's okay. You know, it's going to pass. Whatever you're feeling, if you're feeling down, it's going to pass. Promise you, it can't stay. So just the most important thing is not to be hard on ourselves. We're not actually hard on ourselves. The mind is hard on us, you know, so the ego's hard on us.
I love that. I mean, there's a quote. I'll read it out. It says, "Whenever we suffer, it's because we believe something that isn't true. We've
Mm,
mistaken our own identity. All of
mhm.
humanity's suffering comes down to a case of mistaken identity." And then you also quote. I mean, that's those are your words, and you quote Muji saying, "Everyone is suffering from person poison, living life too personally, perceiving life too personally." Uh, do you want to maybe uh, explain that a bit?
I love the way Muji was so game to say something so strong like that because because a lot of people, you know, they think they're the person. They think that's it. You know, I'm the person. So the ego would take offense with that. But you're not the person. The person is just the smallest part of you, and so you can. How am I best to how am I best to phrase it? The person, I mean, it's important for the ego to give us the experience of being an individual, which is what it does. You know, it enables us to be in this incredible physical world and to have the sense that we're an individual and to have that experience. But we're actually not an individual. We are all connected. We are the one infinite being. And the ego, uh, stroke mind, because for me, they're both the same, cause all of our suffering, all of it, because all negative emotions come from the mind and from the ego, and all negative thoughts come from the mind and the ego. What makes us happy? To think about what we want and not to think about what we don't want. But the ego and the mind love a lot of dramatic energy and throw us a whole lot of thoughts of what we don't want, which has a spiral downward. So there's all the suffering there, right there and then. So to be free of all of that, it's really simple actually. Just think about what you want.
Well, that was very elegantly put. A very complex
I
series of
know.
ideas there.
I brought it back to a simpler I brought it back to a simpler place because that is, I mean, those were the words of Lester Levinson, who's also quoted in The Greatest Secret, who's one of my favorite teachers of all time because he was very, very simple with the way that he expressed everything. And so and sometimes people don't even realize how much they're suffering. Like, if you're experiencing any negative emotion, you're suffering. If any negative thoughts are affecting you, you're suffering. If there are problems that are appearing and you don't know how to handle them and they're upsetting you, then you're suffering. I mean, suffering is comes in. It's very subtle. It comes in many ways, in many forms, but it's quite simple to know whether you are suffering or not. If you are not happy, really happy, then there's some suffering underneath there, because our natural state is happiness. And so if we are not happy, then something is going on. There's negative thoughts and negative emotions that are blanketing our happiness. And it's not that people have to work really hard to try and get happy. Oh, I've got to work really hard to try and get happy. No, there's a, a well
Yeah.
of happiness, infinite, inside us, and it's just being covered over by mental concepts and beliefs and negative emotions and negative thoughts. And as we can see those, have the perspective to see those, that they're actually separate from us. The negative thoughts are not us, the negative emotions are not us, they're not who we are. When we can start to get that little bit of separation, then we have a chance to be free of those things. So,
So absolutely. So as you say, we're not our thoughts or feelings. We're more than that. And you said earlier, by the way, that it's okay to sometimes have negative thoughts. We're human beings, and you know we need to remember not to take things for granted and bring gratitude in, but also we have to also accept that we're human, right? There's going to be ups, there will be thoughts coming in, and we often have many thoughts at the same time, right?
hmm and we are human, but it's a dot and it's a blink of an eye. And we are here to have the most glorious time. We're not here to suffer. We really are not. We're here to be enjoyed. We're here to love. We're here to appreciate. We're here to do all of those things, and I just think that's something to strive for. I really do. Yeah,
I love
to
that.
just be, for me, it was, even for me, it was what drove me to keep searching frantically. I just wanted to be free of suffering. I I had a daughter that was really sick, and so it just, like, for years, really um, impacted me a lot, and I had a lot of thoughts of, I was so afraid for her, and all of that kind of thing, and that does not help her. None of that helps. And so, yeah, I wanted to be free of suffering. I was just determined to be free. And now I'm much more help to my daughter. My daughter is way better now that I am not in suffering. So I recommend it.
Makes sense. That makes absolute sense. And I think, it's interesting. There's a quote you have in the book by Muji that says, "It takes a lot of energy to be a person. It takes no energy to be yourself." I
That's
mean, this
right.
goes back to, as you say, our natural state,
Yes.
which is love, which is joy.
Yes. I mean, anytime, if anybody just would care to observe themselves, self observation is a really important step. And so, if you just observe yourself, the next time that you're feeling upset or hurt or disappointed or angry, any of those negative emotions, ask yourself, who is feeling those things? It's the person. Who we are never feels hurt. It's not possible. Never gets upset, never gets angry, is totally accepting of everything as it is. It's always the person. And the person is the ego.
Yeah.
That's the ego and the mind. That's what's feeling upset. And so the you know the experience of being a person is incredible, incredibly wonderful, but the other side of that is that it's also really tough, and a lot of people in the world are suffering, and so for me, I just My message is always, you don't have to suffer. You know,
I love
not
that.
not suffer, not suffer unnecessarily. Of course, things will come along and there'll be some grief. You know, you lose somebody that you love or a pet that you love, and there will be some grief, but not anything that's going to pull you down. You know, not that's going to pull your life down for a long time. You know, the grief can come, you know, briefly and pass on by. And also, if you're aware that the grief is not you and it's just an emotion passing through, so much easier, so
Mm.
much easier. I mean, none of us die.
Well, you mentioned it's interesting about dying. You mentioned that your mom passed away, and that was very hard for you. And obviously, in a way, she's still around, but also the fact that she's not physically with you. There was some grief there, but then you also realized that there was so much to be grateful for. The
Yeah.
fact that the grief, in a sense, is reminding you of all these things you can be grateful for. It's basically us focusing on the other side of gratitude.
That's exactly right, and they both start with G. You know, grief and gratitude, they really do belong together. And I was very fortunate with my mother passing, because I spent most of my life wondering how I would ever keep going without her being here. And so when she did pass, she was so grateful for the life that she had lived, and her life was cut short through a particular circumstance, and yet she was so grateful. And she said she'd had a blessed life. And I mean, my mother had lived through the Second World War and all of that. So, but she considered that she had had a really blessed life, and so she certainly helped a lot, I have to say. But from the time that she passed, I never felt separation. You see, I never felt like an absence. Like, even now, to talk of her, the energy of the one that we are, which includes her, is just fills this room. So
Beautiful.
yeah, so I that's the thing, because I think people grieve so much because of the absence, and they feel separated, that death has separated them. And it's true, they're not here in the physical, but if we can just close our eyes and feel their energy is right there, because they are the one and we are the one, and we cannot be separated from them ever, ever.
Well, this is the key, right? The idea that everything is connected, everybody's connected. By whatever you put out, it will come back to you. You're actually putting it to a version of yourself, in effect.
Yeah, true, absolutely, that's right. um everything everything does come back to you. That's for sure. That's for sure. Makes life easy. You just be really careful what you put out, and yeah, only put out good things, goodness and kindness. And you used to hear all of those things when I was growing up and small, and uh, from childhood and then all through teenage years, and be kind. And boy, oh boy, so important. It's so, so important to be kind. I mean, if you want to have a good life, you need to be kind.
I,
You need,
I,
because the way that you are with that person, it just, law of attraction, there's not two people, there's only you.
yeah.
And so if you are mean to somebody, you're attracting meanness to you, whatever you put out. And I think one of the toughest things for people, and I know I certainly fell for this, was I thought that I needed to have an opinion that was bad, that's bad. And so that makes you a good person. If you have an opinion that something is bad, we all agree that that's bad, then that makes a good person. But oh my gosh, don't judge anything. Don't judge anything, because you will be judged and you'll bring it all upon yourself. So the one that has the joyous life is the one that doesn't judge. And hey, hasn't every religion and spiritual tradition told us not to judge? But there's a reason. There's a reason, because if you judge, your life is going to be miserable, really miserable. So throw that one away too while we're
Yeah.
at it.
What is it? Let he who is without sin cast the first stone.
Yeah, yeah, well
Um,
said.
but yeah, so wow. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. Um,
Sorry.
but rather than no, rather than unpacking it, I love it. Let's talk about the ego for a second, because you did mention, this idea of the ego, and also this notion of, you talk about it in The Secret, the power of saying I am, and then as an affirmation, and the idea that affirmations are, they're very strong. They go back to also ancient rituals, and also you talk about the opposite, which is sometimes saying I am not, or the negative. Could you just give us a little bit of, yeah, enlighten us as to the power of I am, and then also trying to negatively define things?
Right. Okay. So normally with I am, we would say our name, I am so and so, or I am female or male, or I'm American or British or Australian, and I'm a mother or sister or brother, or, so we're always adding something limiting to I am. But there's one thing that we know for sure. We mightn't know a lot of things for sure. Like, for example, are we dreaming? We don't know for sure if we're
Yeah.
dreaming or not. But there is one thing we know without question, and that is I exist. And I am is I exist. We know with certainty that we exist. And that feeling of certainty and I am is who we really are. That feeling of existence, because I could say we're existence itself. We are life itself.
Hmm.
And so I am, which I think is back through all religious scriptures and spiritual traditions. And so I am is incredibly powerful. And I remember Neville Goddard, this most wonderful teacher. He used I am a lot. So for example, he would say to just find a quiet place and close your eyes and just say, I am, over and over and over and over again until you feel a dramatic shift. And you will feel a dramatic shift. And so, and that shift that you feel really is that the bigger part of you, instead of being in the background, just came to the foreground when you do that practice. So I am is another way of saying who we really are. And yeah, so I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah, it's perfect. And the opposite, saying, using kind of resistance, or trying to find something negatively to say I'm not going to, or something.
Right,
That's
right.
Let's talk
Oh,
about
well,
that
I
for a
am not.
second.
Well, that doesn't exist, you see, because there's no negativity in existence. There's no don't, there's
Yep,
no, so when you say I am not, law of attraction is hearing I am.
exactly.
And so you are bringing that to you. There is no not, there is no don't want. When you say, I don't want to feel this way, or I don't want that person to be, I don't want my boss to be so mean to me, and I don't want that person to get the promotion over me. When you are saying that, you are saying, law of attraction is hearing, I want that person to get the promotion over me. I want to feel this way. I want my boss to treat me to treat me this way. So yeah, there's no absence in the universe. There's so no doesn't exist.
So be careful.
Be
Don't you
careful.
know?
Yeah, yeah,
Don't use no when you say I am or this and that. Remember that you're bringing it to you with a no
yeah,
or without a no. Be
yeah.
very, very careful. That makes sense. And you also mentioned, I mean, this is you mentioned about, someone's boss, uh, about this idea of complaining. When we complain, we tend to make things worse. Do you want to maybe
Oh
enlighten
yeah,
us about that
sure,
as well? 'Cause it's a
sure.
similar idea.
Yeah, because whatever you complain about, you're sending that out, and that is coming back to you. It's like we used genie in The Secret, which I think makes it crystal clear. And instead of three wishes, though, we have unlimited wishes. And so genie represents the law of attraction. And so when we say that we want or we don't want something, genie says, your wish is my command. Every single thought, every one of them. Your wish is my command. Your wish is my command. And so we have to be super diligent with what we think and what we talk about. And here's the thing: if we talk about things that we don't want, our emotions we go down. We don't
Hmm.
feel good, and we get when we talk about what we want, we feel really, really good. So our emotions are telling us, don't do that, don't go there, don't our emotions are telling us law of attraction has got this and is going to take off with it. Warning, warning, change what you're thinking right away. So
And,
we have.
and you, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say on that in that line of thought, you mentioned also, this idea of how when you're thinking about something, it's your feelings that fuel it. So if you have a strong feeling, whether it's an aversion or a positive feeling, you're going to fuel that into happening, basically.
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned criticism before. I mean, to be criticizing, you're on a low frequency. That's a negative frequency, and um, and so yeah, that emotion that comes with criticism, that will continue because we're resisting it because it doesn't feel good. And so we will continue to be experiencing it. So the moment you find something critical, then you're on the criticism frequency, right? So then that's going to be wrong. That's going to be wrong. That person's going to be wrong. The delivery didn't arrive in time. I can't find my phone. My car's got a flat tire. All of these things are on that frequency that you don't actually want to experience or live. So, and the other thing is, law of attraction is like, oh, okay, you want criticism. I can give you unlimited criticism. Here you are. And then you're like, why is my boss so mean to me? Well, stop criticizing, other people. I think, in the world today, if we could just allow everybody to just be as they are, the unique and special being that they are, and not judge anybody and not criticize and not want somebody to believe and think the way that we do, but just allow everybody to be their unique, incredible selves, we would have peace on earth. That's what we would have. We would have peace on earth. And if we stop criticizing, then we will have peace within us. If we
I mean,
stop
this
criticizing and judging, then there will be peace within us.
that's a very powerful sentiment, and I believe in that as well. I mean, it goes back to this idea that we're all one, we're all connected, and unfortunately, as you say, we there's so much polarization going on today, so many like virtue signaling, all these different things. You're either with us or you're against us, but actually,
No,
no, we're all with each other, and
we're all with
and
us. Yeah, we're all with us. There's no one against us. There's actually no. There's no one against us.
unless it's ourselves, right?
Yes. But then if you ask me, what do you think of the world? How's it going? What do you think? Because a lot of people, when I meet people, they will say, what do you think of the world? Right now there's so much trouble and everything. And I just say, we're totally on track. We're on
Wow.
track. Yeah. Because out of every negative situation, we are evolving. And, um, and nothing. Robert Adams, this other wonderful teacher that I love and adore, would say this: everything is unfolding exactly as it should.
Well, that is a
And
very powerful idea, right?
right, right. And if you just feel that for a moment, right, all of the resistance and anxiety leaves your body. And then we are not, by negative emotion, adding to any negative hotspots in the world, you see. So everything is unfolding exactly as it should. So,
So two thoughts about that. One is, I think I'm not sure. Maybe it was in the Magic. You talked about when you wish for something, you should also wish it for everyone. Uh,
Yes,
which that's a very powerful thing because as you whatever you put out will also come back to you, and you'll make the we can all make the world a better place by sending each other love, and that's certainly
yes,
very powerful. And then on the other also on the other side, you also talk about this notion of when there's hardship, when you make mistakes, how actually that's part of life and that's how we learn. And I mean that goes back to your concept of the fact that maybe the world is on track. It's all part of our evolution to some extent.
yes, and in truth, like there are no mistakes. We don't make any mistakes. There's no such thing as mistakes. We feel that we made a mistake and then we beat up on us. I should never have done that. That was so stupid. Hear the mind,
Hmm.
you know. They're all just thoughts. And so we feel like there are mistakes, but there are no mistakes, and that's kind of a big leap for people. But you can't be filled with regret and carry around a knapsack on your shoulders of things where you feel you made a mistake and have a life free of suffering. You can't do it. If you are carrying negative things about you, then you will suffer. Don't do it, because
And this
none of them are true. None of the person is the smallest part of you, and the one that thinks we've made mistakes is the ego. As the infinite being that you are, you have never made a mistake, ever, ever, ever. It's not possible for you to make a mistake. So the universe and everything that we are, everything, entire existence loves you love you too, more than you can possibly imagine. More than you can imagine. You are more glorious, more exquisite, more intelligent, more beautiful than anything that you can experience on earth. So that's who we really are. So yeah, if you make a mistake, then do whatever you feel you need to do, like if it affected somebody, but don't hold it. Don't hold it. You're a child, and I would say that to a 93-year-old. You're a child of you're a child of the universe. We're not mean to children. Why are we so mean to ourselves? And so yeah, but it's also good, I should add, that if you make a mistake, the way to get rid of it is to look for all of the blessings in that mistake, because anytime we make a mistake, when we think we've made a mistake, what happens to our life after that? It takes a different direction. I remember I made what you could consider a mistake when I was working for a television studio in Australia, and somebody that I was working with did something, and I didn't say anything about what they'd done. I didn't feel that it was my position to do that, and I got fired
Hmm.
because she got fired and I got fired. And so one could say, well, that was a big mistake, that you lost your job. And it was vital at the time because my two daughters were in private school, a lot of fees, a lot of responsibilities, and so it just like the rug was pulled from underneath me. And I always had this idea that I was a very good person.
Hmm.
And so getting fired was just devastating. But do you know what? From getting fired, I started my own production company, which led to The Secret. So from being fired, I started my own production company, and that production company is what made The Secret documentary and led to The Secret. So you see, if there were no mistakes, can you see that was not a mistake at all? That was unfolding exactly as it should. So
I love that.
cool.
I love it. Everything is an opportunity if you're open to it, and we
Yeah.
don't always know. This idea that something's good or bad. It's nothing is good or bad. It's what we make of it, right?
No, that's true. There's just judgment to say whether it's good or bad. But live your life in goodness and kindness and love and gratitude and appreciation. And boy, oh boy, you just watch what happens.
You also mentioned in the book, and this goes back to mistakes. You mentioned this idea. I think this was in the Magic, where if you had a falling out with someone, a broken relationship, whether even if you don't connect with them again and reestablish that relationship, if there's anger there, you're the one that's hurting yourself with that anger. That in fact, instead of being harder on yourself or being angry towards the other person, being able to send love to that other person and being grateful for whatever, because there must be good things that came out of that relationship. That's a good way to kind of embrace it and learn from it. This idea that it goes back to the fact that we can't make mistakes, right? Whatever happened, there's something to be gained from it, right?
Always something to be gained, and to look for, to look for the blessings in a situation like that. But there was a spiritual religious leader who said, "Love thy enemies," and you know what? They are such profound words, profound,
I
because
agree.
that means if you love your enemies, that means that you have love for everyone and everything, basically. So, and you have love for everyone and everything, then you are living the life that you're meant to live. We came here to love, we didn't come here to have spit fights. But that said, you know, people are living their life in the way they want to live their life. Like this knowledge that we are talking about and sharing, this is available to everyone. There is a way out of any suffering or a life that is not being lived fully. And there's a way out for everyone. You just it's just whether people are ready for that or not. I'm often asked how do you respond to people, critics who say, oh, it doesn't work for me, and I tried it and this is a lot of rubbish, and I'm like, that's good for them. That's where that's they're choosing to live their life the way they want to live their life. And ultimately we're all freedom, and every one of us has the right to live our life and choose the way that we want to live. And so no one's doing anything wrong in that regard. So I don't want to I only share what I share to help those who want to listen and want to have a better life. And if there are those who don't want that, that's fine too.
You don't judge.
No, no.
I'm teasing, of course. um, so yeah, that's beautiful. So let's see. First of all, again, I want to congratulate you on all that you've done, all that you're doing. I
Oh, thank
wonder, are there any projects, anything that you're working on for the future that you'd like to share, maybe, or yeah, or any wishes for the future?
you. Yes, to bring joy to billions is my wish for the future. I had a mantra, joy to millions, in creating The Secret. And so we did that in the hundreds of millions. And now I'd like joy to billions. We're working on a few different projects. One of them is, I can't say any more than one of them's an app, which is incredible. So
Cool.
that will be a release for next year. We're working on that. So that will be really amazing for people. That will make life very easy. Yeah.
Cool. I love it. Well, before we wrap up, it's up to you. First of all, thank you for all your time. I want to say
Thank you
this is
so
incredible.
much,
So
Etan.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so now hold on. We're still recording, but it's up to you. If you don't have time, that's okay. I wonder, could I do a quick reading for you? I've got this like Oracle kit that I designed, and I could do a really quick reading for you if you're up for it.
Sure. Go
Okay,
ahead.
then let's do it. Then we're recording. It's up to you. So basically, it's based on the game Spotted. I don't know if you've seen. It's like a children's game, um, but it's quite fun. So you'll see. So here we go.
Okay.
So you so tell me when to stop. We need two cards each time, and then we'll find the synchronicity, the matching symbol between the two cards. So just say when.
Okay. Okay. Stop.
Okay, so I've got one card, and again, let's do it again.
Stop.
Okay, great. So we've got two cards. Can you find the matching symbol between the two cards?
Um, hmm. Yes.
Purple wings, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah,
this is where you're coming from. What does that mean to you? I mean, usually wings symbolize freedom.
freedom.
What?
Yeah, that to me is freedom. And purple is the highest color on the spectrum spiritually. So that's pretty
Beautiful,
cool.
beautiful. Well, let's see. Let's see where you are. So say when. Say when.
Oh, okay. Now,
Yeah, one. Okay, and again.
now.
Okay, bottom or top?
Top.
Top. Okay. So we got two cards, and what is the matching symbol? Ooh, wow! I can help if you need, but I don't know if you can see.
Okay. This is like
Yeah, it's
this
a
is
bit
like
hard.
that
It.
game. This is like that game concentration, right? It's the kind of the
Yeah,
glassy, the like what you have in a science lab. That kind
exactly.
of round ball with the stem.
That's right. It's a flask with
Oh,
fire boiling some
okay.
sort of liquid, and it
Ah.
symbolizes, like transformation, alchemy, and all that. This is where
Oh
you
wow,
are.
love alchemy. Yeah, I love alchemy.
Is this something you've been thinking about lately, or are you undergoing a transformation at the moment?
I think they are all of the time, actually. And I loved alchemy. I studied it for years, actually. Absolutely loved it. All those alchemists and unraveling all of their writings. Their writings were very, very veiled, very veiled. But yeah, I love alchemy. Yeah, I think we're doing that all of the time.
Love it. I
So
love also the fact that you've read
actually,
so
a
much.
transformation. No, I just thought of something that it could
Yeah.
be appropriate for, but I can't say. So,
Okay. Okay. But there
but
is
I,
something.
yeah, there is something. So it's very appropriate.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see where you're headed. So tell us. Just say when.
Okay, in the future, which is not now.
That's okay. Bottom or top?
Top.
Okay. So I'm putting that side and again.
Now,
Bottom or top?
top.
Okay. So here we go. What is the matching symbol? Let's see. Oh, I see it. This one's a little tricky to decipher, but you can kind of see. I don't know if you can see it. That
Uh,
that that bluish thing is actually it's a
oh yeah,
mirror.
yeah, the bluish thing. Yeah, that's a
It's,
mirror.
it's a mirror.
Okay.
That's where you're headed. What does that mean to you? Because you talk about the mirror quite a
Oh,
lot, but how are you headed towards the mirror? What does that mean?
I guess becoming more of who you are. That would be that. That's what that represents to me. Is to becoming more of who we are,
So
who are
self-aware.
yeah.
More self-aware.
Mhm.
Okay, well finally, let's see if I can do this. I think I have enough space. I'll show you. So this is good. Thank you for getting a bit of insight into Rhonda Byrne, which is really cool. So so finally, what we do is we create a circle using all the pieces. All done. There we go. And then we'll put a final. So there we go. So we've got a circle that's been generated, and we'll put one
Mhm.
final piece in the middle. So just say when, and I'll put the final piece in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
when? Bottom or
yeah,
top?
top.
Okay. Always top, eh? I like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
So it's the
always go
green
for the
bike.
highest. Yes, that's right. So you've got the green bike matching here. I'm trying to
Yeah.
see if there might be what are the symbols that come out. Um, so here's the green bike, and here, what do you
A
have
purple
here?
kind of flower. It
Yeah,
looks like a flower of life or something.
that's right. So you've got the lotus with the Om
A
symbol in the
lotus.
middle.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh,
And then I don't know if you can see here.
I can't see the
Well,
one.
I will find. I will find. I'll find. So the
Okay.
matching symbol here is um,
Oh,
what
is the
is it?
target bullseye? Right.
Oh yeah, hitting the target. Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
And then and then the matching symbol here,
Is the anchor?
the anchor. Cool. And let me just see. Oh, and then there's a zero as well, matching zero.
Oh yeah.
And finally, the matching symbol here is pi. So there's a lot of symbols, and we've got the green. So, out of all those symbols, does any one of those resonate with you in particular? With those matching symbols right now?
Maybe the lotus.
Okay, so this is the intuition. Whatever comes out is the intuition. So
Mm,
something to think about. I mean, you know, there's this concept that the lotus represents overcoming obstacles, right? It's a flower that
mhm,
symbolizes transcendence. It tends to grow in the mud, which usually isn't that pretty, but then it becomes really beautiful. And
mhm,
and I think it's interesting. I mean, this is something for you to think about intuitively, but I think in many ways, everything you talk about is the lotus. And it also is, what's really cool about this symbol, which I think in many ways represents a lot of what you talk about. You've also got the Om in Sanskrit in the middle, which is also this idea that, it's the first word, the first source of energy that creates everything, right? Our
mhm.
thoughts create all that's around us. Uh, and we have the ability to overcome,
Yes.
whatever we put our mind to. So I think that's yeah, it's very beautiful. That feels very Rhonda Rhonda-ish, I have to say.
Well,
Um,
thank you, Ian. That's very sweet. It was fun.
Thanks. No, thank you for participating. I want to say, I hope you have a chance to continue to transform and
Thank
share and
you.
inspire and really share wisdom because you've really enriched so many people's lives and
Mm.
uh, and yeah, and you're on our 100 list, of course,
I
which is
know,
coming
and I want
out.
to thank you. I just want to thank Watkins for all of your support. You guys have been amazing over the years. You've been with me all the way on this journey, so it's been really special.
And we'll continue to be. We love you, and
Thank
if there's
you.
anything we can do,
Thank
we'll
you.
always support you. So, wishing you and your whole family, and everyone, obviously, because we're all one. Lots of love, and yeah, and may you keep inspiring people, and I am grateful for your time and your love and your existence.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Eaton, very, very much. Much love.